Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to remind everybody listening that we're still in the midst of a global pandemic and that many businesses have switched their models to remote working. And some of those businesses who switched their models have reported record income as a result. And I don't think that anyone who has done so should be lambasted for doing so. Thank you so much for appearing before us today, Mr. Tierney. I had a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you. First and foremost, when you were asked to come here today, did you get a heads up as to why you were coming, what you would be speaking to, et cetera?
I was told that it was going to be an informational hearing on licensure issues.
Okay, and that was from the chair of the committee?
Yes.
Okay. Secondly, I asked this question earlier, and I'm wondering, is there any evidence that if you had any degree of independence or autonomy to spend your dollars in a way that you chose to, if you would be able to manage things in a more efficient and effective way?
Yeah, I think that's the case because, you know, one of the things that the secretary did when she came on board, she went to each and every office. We don't only have our Madison office, we have Green Bay, Waukesha, et cetera. And she talked to staff and she got to know what they were doing. In our own Madison office, she would go around to cubicles and observe what people were doing. And so that fed her, you know, outlook on the department, I guess you would say. And I think that, you know, we also work with boards, licensure boards that express to us what their demands are. And so with the additional dollars, you know, there is oversight, even if the legislature says you can spend these dollars. I know since I've been with the department, I think we've had 2, perhaps 3 legislative audit bureau requests for information, you know, to hold us accountable, and we've provided information. So I have no doubts that if the applicant dollars were released for their intended purpose, that they would be used for their intended purpose. And I have no doubts at all that if the Joint Audit Committee looked at how those dollars were spent, that they would give us an A+ rating on any audit.
Great. And there are more than like 60 plus health and other kinds of health applicants or departments people who would apply to you. Can you tell me like what the ratio is from like workers to the number of applicants that they have to deal with?
Well, for us, like I mentioned, social workers, for example, you know, if you take away the other occupations, maybe we have like, in human resources speak, maybe 0.5 position that does social work. Mm-hmm. You know, if you do the work. I'm trying to think. I know National Public Radio did a story on nurse licensure last week, and we weren't included in that story. They looked at 32 states, and one of the statistics that I remember came out of that, they were talking about the state of California and licensure delays and for nursing. And they said that they have something like 40 some staff that works on nurse licensure and like 500,000 nurses. And so they did the ratio and whatever it was, like one staff person for 10,000. And they said, yeah, if you have that kind of ratio, it's difficult to deal with renewal issues. It's difficult to properly address new licensure. And I know in talking with our staff after I saw that article, I said, well, what's our ratio? And it was 1 to 27,500. So.
Okay. Were you ever, I know the Joint Committee on Finance is actually the entity that took your $37 million away from your department. Were you ever requested to come before them and testify and have a conversation with them about how you could improve things and what you could do?
The Joint Committee on Finance co-chairs decide which agencies have the privilege of coming up and talking about their agency budgets, and in neither budget that's been up since I've been with the agency have we been invited to come and publicly, in front of the media, public members, be able to explain the rationale for our budget requests and well, in fact, even explain where the money comes from for our department, because I gotta be honest with you, there are a lot of legislators who voted against us being able to have positions who don't know how our department is funded. Like I talked to one legislator last week or not last week, last month I think it was, and he asked me questions and I explained the staffing situation, and he's saying, oh, you know what, we're ripe with cash right now. Maybe we have a lot of GPR, maybe we can get you some more positions. And I have to say, Representative, we're a program revenue funded agency. We have funds in the balance. We don't need to take any GPR for our jobs, to do our jobs. We just need the funds that people pay, that people want us to be able to use to provide them the service they expect, and I would say have every right to expect. I mean,
And so would you say that, would I be correct in saying that $1.5 million from DSPS was put into the general fund, non-taxpayer money was put into the general fund last year?
I think that's correct, and I believe in the budget last year, I think the governor actually vetoed an additional amount that came, I think would specifically come out of Division of Industry Services, I believe.
Okay.
I think that's the case. I can't remember what the specific dollar amount was.
Okay.
So it would have been over and above the 10%.
But we're getting money from the department. We're just not allowing them to spend it in a way that would help to alleviate some of our challenges. Would I be correct in estimating that, making that statement?
Yeah, it's frustrating because I get an earful all the time, and like I get the emails from legislators, from people that make contact with the governor's office, and they all say, hire more staff. What's wrong with you? Hire more staff. And I think members of the public, quite frankly, they don't understand that, we're an agency that collects money from them for a fee or their fee dollars, and then we just provide the service. And then members of the public, I actually have some people ask me, why is the legislature involved at all?
Right.
Frankly, they say we pay a fee. There are laws you guys follow in issuing our licenses. Why don't you just have the autonomy to check with our licensing board and say, hey, licensing timelines are ticking up a little bit. The board and the secretary agree, just hire some more staff or do something. People really, and I don't blame them. I mean, people don't follow the budget process. I mean, they got better things to do, but it is a question. People don't understand why they pay money and it's not used.
Right. Well, thank you for your testimony again. Thanks for being here today. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No, thank you.